I will call us to order. Commissioner Cottle is absent, and we knew that would be the case. And I will ask Commissioner Holland to lead us in prayer.
Okay, let's pray. God, we humbly come before you and ask that you'll just guide us during this meeting and that all of our decisions will be made for the community as a whole. I also ask that you'll be with our military servicemen and women as they protect our freedoms here and overseas, and pray that you'll bring them home safe to us. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen. And we have some special guests with us this evening. This is Girl Scout Troop 5147, is that correct? And is that out of a particular church or institution?
Just Boyle County.
Boyle County. Ladies, would you please come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Come right on up here. Come right on. All the way up. I want everybody to see your pretty face up here. Y'all scoot in over there. Introduce yourself to the audience, please, ma'am. And you're what?
I'm a junior.
Good.
My name is Olia, and I'm Addison Parker, and I'm a junior. I'm Emma Richter, and I'm a cadet. I'm Lydia, and I'm a cadet. My name is Mary, and I'm a cadet.
We thank you for joining us. That's a little inroad key to the city. We appreciate spending time with us and leading us.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Commission, we have a full agenda tonight. One item that will need some explanation. Councilor Dexter will be the item on the food truck, since that's kind of short.
Yeah, we can push that 2 weeks, no problem. And we could even just suggest that you have a copy of it now. Please review. If you have any questions, get back to us. We don't need to talk about that necessarily tonight, but we would like to square it away this month at the next meeting.
So this is the opportunity to hear the public's opportunity to take 3 minutes at the microphone to address any topic that is on tonight's agenda. We'll have similar privilege later for any item that is not on tonight's agenda. Do we have any takers to hear the public? Seeing none, we'll move right along into our general business. This is retirement recognition. And is Chief Gray here? There he is. Chief, lead the way.
You know, yeah, she said she don't work for me anymore.
Smart lady, right?
So, Mayor and the Commissioners, we have Officer Sally Bustle, and this is her second retirement from the Danville Police Department. As many of you know, Sally was started here at the Danville Police Department in 1998. Actually, I did Sally's background check way back in the day.
Long ago.
Just a few years ago. Sally came back to us a little over 2.5 years ago. I came back when we were struggling a little bit with some staffing issues, and we kind of recruited her back. And it started out that, we just asked her to work, about 2 or 3 days a week, and, something like 24 hours a week. That's what it started out to be anyway. It's supposed to have been part-time, and it was part-time, but there were many days and times and weeks that we called her in outside of those 2 or 3 days and asked her to fill in and help and do some things. Sally's always been a great asset to the police department, but not just to the police department, but to the community as a whole. She was a K-9 instructor. She's been a RIDE instructor for us. I think you're still doing a RIDE class this week, actually?
I did last week.
Last week, after she had officially retired, she continues to be an asset to us and also to this community. I roasted her pretty good the first time she retired, and I will not do that this time. But we do just want to say, Sally, we appreciate everything you've done for us over those first 21 years and the last 2.5 years as well. And so if you'll just accept this small token of this plaque as appreciation for the second time of going out with us. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Thank you to the city of Danville for giving me an opportunity to do some things in policing that I would not have had an opportunity to do at my former agency. It's nice to be appreciated and remembered after I'm gone. And then you all can forget me. I'll be just one of those old officers that have faded away. But I do appreciate the opportunities that I've had coming to work here. And I'm thankful that I've had the time here in this community. It's been a wonderful community to work in. Thank you.
Tony, let me say this real quick, and if I may. Sally, I want to tell you that I appreciate you. I've had the pleasure of being around you at different times. You may not have always known that I was watching, but in different roles. And you have always had a particular demeanor that I respected, and your presentation was always professional, and I want you to know I appreciated that, just as a citizen, but also as your peer. Thank you.
We never know, we might call her back, she might have a third career in there. Third time may be yeah, that's right, don't forget that. So our next person I'd like to recognize. No orders. Mayor, Commissioners, Jack Hendricks here. So it's kind of odd tonight. Former Chief Peake's here tonight. Former Assistant Chief Tom Bustle's here tonight. And about 16 years ago, I'm not quite sure how we discovered this program, but Chief Peake ordered Assistant Chief, I don't know if he ordered him, but asked him to look into an organization or a group called Volunteers in Police Services, VIPS. There was an agency in Northern Kentucky that was using this, and Chief Bustle, Sally, and Jack went up there and visited that city and came back with an idea that it was a program that we could start here. VIPS, as it's known by its acronyms, it's called the Volunteers in Police Services. It's a volunteer program that provides volunteer assistance to local police. The program is managed by the International Association of Chiefs of Police in partnership with the White House Office of Freedom Corps. We started the program in the spring of 2016. We started off with 4 volunteers, a special marked cruiser. We eventually added a 5th active member. Chief Peak, on his retirement, came back and became a member of the VIP program. All of them, except for Chief Peak, were graduates of our Citizens Academy and had some military or law enforcement experience. Jack, being the leader he is, was the unofficial coordinator of the unit. Initially, VIP started to assist us locally with special events. As many of you know, the large special events that we have, many weekends require 15 to 20 officers, and a lot of that eats into some of their free time. This allowed us to have more officers off, and it allowed the volunteers an opportunity to come out and help us. Many of those first initial special events, we had 4 to 5 of the volunteers helping us block intersections for those 5Ks, parades, and other special events. Those things saved us man-hours in the city, lots and lots. I would say over $10,000 worth of tax dollars was saved on those special events alone. Quickly, we saw that they were a great asset to us as an agency, and we incorporated them into more aspects of the day-to-day functions that didn't require actual law enforcement. One of the big things we started was Jack pretty much single-handedly took over the fingerprintings on Wednesday afternoons, especially during the beginning of the school year when we have teachers come in and have to get recertified and send those things off. They all had to be fingerprinted, and sometimes that was a 3 or 4 hour daily job on Wednesdays. And Jack would come in on Wednesdays after lunch and take care of that program, allowing us to keep patrol officers on the street patrolling. We quickly then started to get more vehicles free, and we asked them if they would do some neighborhood patrols. We get numerous requests from different areas of town for just extra patrols and things like that. And we quickly initiated and programmed them to coordinate with those different areas in town at certain times of the day. They would take a marked cruiser and ride through those neighborhoods for us. Being a presence, they were also a deterrent for traffic infractions and criminal activity. And I always say, you can never measure what you deter. But we would have those guys and girls go out, and where we had maybe thefts from vehicles or some criminal mischief in those neighborhoods, they would go out and just drive through those neighborhoods. Again, allowing our patrol officers to go out there and do more law enforcement activities instead of some of the community policing activities. It kept a presence in those neighborhoods for us. I really couldn't tell you everything that they did over those 16 years. And I can't really measure that. But I can tell you that it was a great asset to us. Just hearing citizens call in and say, hey, I saw a couple guys, and they were a little older. I don't know if they're policemen or not, but they were. So I know, like I said, I know that their presence and what they did for us was felt in the community and in different neighborhoods. And Jack pretty much, took this thing by the wings and ran it, and really was an asset. I mean, I can't tell you how much of an asset it was, because a lot of times he would come in, he would see the board for overtime and for different activities. He would take it upon himself to reach out to Assistant Chief Bustle at the time or Assistant Chief Doan and say, hey, I see this is a problem you all are having or something. I can schedule the VIPs, and he would take it upon himself to do a lot of the scheduling for us and let us know when he could do it and when the group could do it and things like that. Like I said, over these last 16 years, Jack has been more than a volunteer. He's been an integral part of the police department's weekly scheduling. We knew we would always have 2 or 3 days of Jack coming in and helping us take care of different things. Jack was more than a VIP. Over the years, he's become a confidant, a sounding board, a mentor, a leader, but most of all, he was our friend at the police department. Jack, we really, truly cannot say enough about the many hours and selfless service you've given the city and the Danville Police Department. And I will ask you also, to accept this plaque as a small token of our appreciation, as well as one of our patches and one of our pins. Jack, I appreciate everything.
Thank you very much. That's great. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. You know me, I'm never short of words, but I've got to say a few things. It has been 16 years since we started this program. And I'm tickled to death to see Jeff and Chief Bustle here because they're the ones that started the program, talked to me about it, and I thought it was a great idea. So as the chief said, and Sally went along too, that makes it even better that she's here too. Sally went along with Tom and I to up northern Kentucky. We visited 2 police departments up there that had the VIP program going on. We spent the day and one night up there going over it with everybody up there. Everybody back to Jeff, and that's the beginning of it. It started, and it's been a great program through the years. I've appreciated every minute of it. I've been honored to serve with, I can tell you right now especially, we have the best police department in the state of Kentucky. You've got the best group of officers, men and women, in the state of Kentucky. And I've got a little experience with people, so I can tell you, you're lucky to have them. You started some programs, and you're starting to keep them because, as I told many of you, I've gone through, I think, 4 mayors, 4 city managers, 3 chiefs, and I always tell them all, you got some great people, you need to keep them. And I think you've started that in the last couple of years, so I commend you for it. But it's still not enough. You need to keep these people. They're outstanding people. And that's why everybody comes to Danville to try to get these officers. So if you don't want to lose, keep going what you've got started. They're a great group, very, very professional, best people I've ever worked with. I spent 25 years at UPS, and I tell you, I'd love to have any one of them working for me there. So, but at any rate, it's been a great ride. I guess Tony got the feeling that I got a little bit too old to get out there because everybody started saying, "Yeah, an old man out there doing that." I probably am only 81-year-old person out doing patrols in the state of Kentucky, but I enjoyed every minute. I was going to try to stretch it to 85, but he wouldn't let me. So. And I understand that. That's not a problem. But it's been an outstanding pleasure to work with all of them. You have the best management team that I think you can put together in the chief and the assistant chief Doan, as well as the captains and the sergeants. I can't say enough good about them. They're very, very professional. And that's why we don't see a lot of the problems in other communities here, is because of professionalism that all these officers have. They're well-trained. You all have taken care of them now in the last couple of years, so hopefully we will retain them and keep them here for a long, long time. But anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Chief, thank you. Jeff, Tom, been a pleasure all these years.
Thank you.
Been an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Chief, got a question.
Yes, sir.
Who do you have in the wings to, what 3 or 4 people do you have in the wings to replace that one?
Actually, putting an end to that department as of right now. There's been some threats and stuff with, toward law enforcement, and you have citizens that are many times unarmed in police vehicles that can be mistaken for the actual police. There's just that kind of feeling going around. They're curving back those people being out in actual vehicles now. They're doing some administrative tasks, but not so much as some of those patrol things. Thank you.
Makes sense.
Again, Jack, thank you. You know, you get more respect here than you do fiscal court, you understand that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you all very much.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll move to approve the minutes of October 24th, 2022.
Thank you, Commissioner Holland. Is there a second?
Second.
Soon to be mayor. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, chair will call the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 4 is resolution number 2022-11-14-01. This is an engagement letter with the Kentucky League of Cities. Mr. Boyd?
All right, thank you, Mayor. So in front of you have a training proposal from KLC. This is for our annual harassment and sexual harassment training. Staff's recommending approval of the agreement in the amount of $1,104 to conduct the 2022 harassment training for all city staff.
Do I hear a motion for the resolution?
I'll move, go ahead.
No, ladies first.
I'll move to approve Resolution 2022-11-1401.
Thank you, Commissioner Holland. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Terry, thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of that resolution, the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 5 is resolution number 2022-11-14-02. This is a contract proposal for the Hannah Resource Group. Mr. Boyd, continue on.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So just before I go into the proposal, I just want to give a little history behind the reason for the proposal. So in 2020, the city contracted with the Hannah Resource Group to do a compensation study. As a result of that study, the city outlined a compensation plan, which was a 3-phase plan over 3 fiscal years, 2 of which have been implemented at the beginning of fiscal year 23. During that process, staff discussed that one of our objectives was to do an updated compensation study this year, especially with the changes in the labor market, the rise in inflation. The goal of this study is to have a new study completed, compare it against our current plan to make sure the validity of that plan still is in place and if any adjustments need to be made, with the ultimate goal of recruiting and retaining a high-quality workforce. Right now, the objective is, if approved, the plan, we will kick this off in November. The study will take place approximately between November and January, end of January, which point in time we'll sit down and do an analysis. Obviously, at this point, we don't know what the study results will hold. Also, since 2020, this is a good opportunity to do an updated adjustment because we've created a lot of new classified positions that weren't part of the original study in 2020. And so this study will encompass all full-time positions that were classified in fiscal year 23. So the amount of the study is going to be approximately $19,900, which would be absorbed through budgeted allocated funds for fiscal year 23.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2022-11-1402 as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Terry, thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, chair will call the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, for like sign. That motion carries. Item 6 resolution number 2022-11-14-03. This is with respect to cancellation of the December meetings. Ms. Rader, it says you're going to speak about this.
I don't know why I put my name, but you all decided at the last meeting to cancel both December meetings and have one special called meeting on December 19th. So that's what this resolution is doing.
Do we hear a motion for the resolution?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2022-11-1403, since you all very kindly obliged my request.
Second.
Commissioner Terry, Commissioner Holland, thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, Chair will call the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Mr. Coffey, your report, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. In your packet, we got the memo. Start with some important dates. Of course, Thanksgiving is the 24th and 25th. City Hall's closed. November 28th is your next regular meeting. The 19th will be the special call meeting you all just said. December 1st is our Christmas tree lighting at 6 p.m. And December the 10th will be the Christmas parade at 6 p.m. So those right now are the important dates between now and the end of the year that we have marked. And we'll get into trying to schedule a Parks and Rec workshop here in a second. Downtown Streetscape, we had a chance to walk through the project with everyone but Denise. Right now, Denise would welcome Commissioner to do that with you. We would point out that a lot of the future locations of the curbs, for example, can be identified now. And you can see that the new striping is correctly locating where traffic will be in the future. And so the street will be more narrow, but it will be the same driving lanes. There'll be a lot of similarities to it, but the excess space will be pushed into the sidewalk. So we want to reiterate that and look forward to that progress. There's a few notes there on future agenda items. We would point out that staff has been working with parking. We have talked about a couple of things with some short-term, in the short term, to reduce the impact on the streetscape, trying to deal with special signage for customers only, for parallel parking, some things like that. Josh is working through. In the long term, we will continue to try to improve customer access on the street stalls, and then also in the two municipal lots that we have on 2nd and 3rd Street. We're looking at reorganizing, or to the extent we can influence, reorganizing some of the employee parking into the garage, and then we'll try to add some signage for the garage like has been mentioned before. And so we've talked about all those things, and we'll continue to review that. We just want to make sure you all know that we're working on those. We are working with an agreement with the school districts. There's a lot of confusion on that, and when we say that, the city's Parks and Recreations and the community's Parks and Rec uses school facilities for basketball, for example. And then also we invite them to use our facilities for tournaments, for baseball, and practice for some of the youth football programs and things like that. So we want to shore that up so that there's no confusion. So for example, some of the dialogue has been, are you building tennis courts for the school district? No, we're building tennis courts for the community, right? The same taxpayers pay for tennis courts for the school that pay for those in the park, right? So we want to shore up that relationship so that it's better understood. And so we'll anticipate that coming in the next few meetings. And just, if you want to talk about that more, please feel free to reach out. The Danville schools, to that end, there's another page that we attach that describes the Century 21 grant program that the school, Danville Schools, is going to apply for. It augments their service for after hours. It is linked to a community partner. They've asked the Parks and Rec program to partner with them. We would like for them to do after-school programming in some form in Jenny Rogers in the future. And so this is a funding opportunity for them, but we are acknowledging that we will partner with them in the future on those ideas. But it is a grant program that goes to the school district. It doesn't have an obligation to us other than us acknowledging that we'll partner with them in the future. Would like to say that our work on the planning and zoning ordinance continues. We do have a draft report of a general assessment. We've shared that with council. We'll try to meet on that over the next, as our schedule permits, over the next 2 weeks. The schedule with Thanksgiving and also some other work is, it will delay us for a couple of weeks before we can really sit down and do some of those reviews. Which brings us to the parks discussion, the aquatics planning. That has been the workshop that has been requested. Right now, we are suggesting the week of December 5th, and it looks like the 7th is ideal for the consultant team. And so we would ask, do you all have available December the 7th for a workshop? And if so, we will ask Ashley to confirm that, city clerk to confirm that for you.
I do. What time are you thinking?
Probably in the morning, late morning, like 10 or 11, so that we can consume lunch with it also. That seems to work some of the other schedules, that lunch hour. Shouldn't take more than an hour and a half or two, I wouldn't think, to get all the way through. If
So
that's
you're-
our sole subject,
Like 10-ish?
10 right now is what we'll shoot for.
11. On the 7th. That's Pearl Harbor Day. That's a very important date. 11 to 1. Mr. Coffey, before you finish, you said you called out the 1st of December and the 10th of December, and I couldn't get the information down. What's the 1st of December? Is that
December 1st is the Christmas tree lighting,
that's a Thursday night?
6 p.m., and the 10th is the Christmas parade right now.
Okay. I had them right then, okay.
Who is organizing the Christmas parade?
Ashley, you want to address that?
There's a group of citizens that are doing it.
Good.
We are working I give credit to Ashley. The city clerk's working really hard to support that effort, but
Melanie is too,
and-
sorry, I
and-
didn't interrupt you.
I was getting to Melanie too, and yeah, they're working to support it. The volunteers are working really hard at helping also, so we appreciate everyone's effort in putting that together.
So back to the 7th, did we decide on a time? 10?
10's fine.
Okay.
Anything else for Mr. Coffey? Then we'll move right on into hear the public. This is the public's opportunity to have 3 minutes with the microphone to talk about any subject that is not on tonight's agenda. Do I have any takers?
Have at least one. Rick Saris, Danville citizen, former commissioner and soon to be up there again. Here to publicly congratulate the 3 incumbents that successfully ran for re-election. Commissioner Kevin Caudle, who's absent, Commissioner Jenny Holland, Mayor Pro Tem J.H. Atkins, soon to be the mayor. I also want to wish the 2 folks up here that have elected to go into retirement, I wish you well. That would be Commissioner Denise Terry and Mayor Mike Paris. You 5, along with this city staff, which includes the contracted attorney, city attorney Stephen Dexter, Stephen, I guess is how we should pronounce that, have done a great job in putting Danville where it is today, a desirable place to work, live, and play. And hopefully on behalf of Donna Peak and certainly for myself, we look forward to joining the team. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
So, I remember asking Bernie Hunstead, the late Bernie Hunstead, do you miss it? His comment was, pure and simple, he says, I like having the So,
So the watch parties are not going to be at your house?
so, I'm sure that Commissioner Terry and I'm sure she's not gonna go away forever, and I'm not gonna go away forever. I don't intend to run for office again, but there'll be certain subjects that I wanna see get done and may have to weigh in on, so I'll leave it at that. Commissioner comments? I think I just made it.
Well, one thing, tomorrow at CenterWorks, there's an open house to introduce the new Development Corporation Board to the community. If anyone wants to attend from 5:30 to 7:30
This Wednesday,
tomorrow.
tomorrow?
And also to thank the departing EDP board members. And then I wanted to give a shout out to were you gonna come up here? Nick and Christian Barker, because they received a huge award, the General Aviation Airport Manager of the Year Award. And that says a lot about them, especially with the trials they went through with the tornado and rebuilding. So just wanted to give a shout out to the airport managers being the best in the state, so.
Or you could give a continued shout out to the wonderful workers that are doing our streetscape. You couldn't ask for a more polite, conscientious group. And if you see them, and you feel so inclined, share that with them. I'm sure they don't get that all the time. So we'll back up a step as see Ms. Calhoun wants to address
Yes.
the commission.
My name is
Even though
Margaret.
you missed the window of opportunity, we're gonna
Yes. Calhoun. They coming to me, Danville needs a homeless shelter. We got some homeless people need to be placed.
I think that's being worked on,
That's
but you make
good.
a good point.
Yes. And when are they gonna start on the park? Michael M. Memorial Park.
Josh is under the weather tonight.
Oh, is it? That's
Yeah,
right here.
yeah.
I didn't
But
know.
he shared with me the construction plans for the park that are in progress. And so they are under review now by staff. They're 90% complete, so he'll be ready to bid that, I would imagine, in just a couple weeks.
Oh, okay.
So
good.
it's getting ready to hit the street.
All right.
Yeah.
And some of these streets need to be worked on, too many potholes. East Main Street, every other street, where I got, write them down. Didn't have time today. Okay, my 3 minutes up.
Well, actually, you got a little bit more.
I've got a couple of things to say.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would like to elaborate on Ms. Calhoun's homeless comment. Let's make sure that we understand that not all homeless are addicts and need a rehabilitation. So I told this story to the mayor the other day. I wasn't sure when I would get to share it, but I'm going to share it now. My daughter has befriended a young man. They were in high school at the same time, but they were not friends in high school, but they are friends now. Towards the end of his senior year, his parents moved away, and he did not want to move. And he was essentially homeless. He was not on drugs, and there was nowhere for him to go. He was in school, and then he graduated, and he was working. And he would go to school and or work. He joined Planet Fitness because they had showers. He would go there and work out and get something to eat and sleep in his car, usually in Danville Manor. There was nowhere for him to go because mostly he wasn't on drugs. So there are more stories out there like that than we know. And the first step to solving a problem is admitting you have the problem. Because we don't necessarily see our homeless, we still have them. So homeless needs to be addressed. I was hoping that we would get to address that in the last 8 years. We haven't gotten to. But homelessness is not the same as rehab. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind. I can't remember if I've already mentioned this or not, but I'm gonna mention it again. There were some problems with some box trucks on North 4th Street. That problem seems to have been resolved. They are parking in a different location, and I appreciate you all getting that taken care of. And I am hearing more and more complaints from Parks and Rec about facilities and maintenance and some employees. So I just want everyone to be aware, and hopefully that is getting addressed.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? Seeing none, we'll move right on to payment of the bills, item A. Motion will, Chair will accept the motion for the payment of the bills.
So moved.
Chair, is there a second?
Second.
Terry, discussion?
Well, you all moved kind of quick. I wanted to, Stephen, there's an item in the lines of the bills that is a relative, so I was thinking I needed to recuse myself. It just started to happen so fast. I'm sorry. Oh, can I still recuse myself?
Certainly, we in vote.
Okay.
You sure can, but just for the sake of the record, you should disclose who the relative is and
Okay.
your relationship.
Okay, my husband, Tim.
Okay. And now the proper thing, just as a matter of course, this is a good learning lesson for all of us at this point. You've properly disclosed the relationship. You are actually supposed to leave your seat
Okay,
as
go
well
out
and
there.
step outside.
Okay,
And then you can.
I will step outside.
And then you come back in. Thank you. Just trying to keep you legal, Commissioner.
Don't leave for the rest of the meeting.
When you come back in, we'll announce what the chairman of what committee.
Okay.
Motion been made and seconded, any discussion?
Let's talk about Jenny.
Yeah,
Call
this
for the question.
was some sort of automobile repair, I'm guessing.
Maybe staff can elaborate on the specific line item just for the cleanliness of the record.
That Ms. Holland stepped out on?
Yes.
Yes, we are paying a payment to Linex, which her husband is associated with.
And can you state the
I
amount
do.
for the record, please, Ms. Collins?
Give me just a.
$29.50, $2,929.50. And so we will, we'll have to think about that in the future, because that is a service we need, and they're new to the community, and so we need to, we'll.
Can you disclose to what just for the record, what services were actually provided for that vehicle?
Well, this was a lighting package. It was strobes, and they do that type of work, but they're, they do, that Line-X, we use that for a lot of different applications. And so it's nice having them here in town. And I think from a utility perspective, all of our truck beds, for example, we do Line-X those. And so we, not quite yet, Jenny.
We'll come get you.
So there is a need for them in Danville, which is why they've located the business here. But, we'll just have to
So
handle
does
it
that need to be
properly.
handled differently in the future, or?
Handled like we're doing now, for the most part. She's not part of the solicitation in any way. I mean, that's
Yeah, I was going to ask that just for the record. Was the business solicited by Commissioner Holland in any way, shape, or form?
no. This is a public works purchase because they're on Stanford Road.
And they
So
are,
we'll have to consider that in the future.
are they what do you call it, a sole provider?
They're the licensed Line-X. The closest one that we've used previously, we've always ran our vehicles to Nicholasville. And so, some staff definitely felt like it was good having them here, but it probably we'll have to steer away from that in the future, or be considerate of that
Well, I think one thing that might be appropriate is just a review of the current situation under the guise of the ethics ordinance. And if an opinion should be obtained from, an advisory opinion from the ethics ordinance regarding the matter, then perhaps we should go that route. But I think we should look into that just moving forward before it's fully discounted. It may be, there may be a method to proceed or not. But I think maybe the ethics committee could be employed for an advisory opinion just for that relationship.
Okay. All right, so move for approval. We already did that, didn't we?
Already did that, yes. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. You want to go get Commissioner Holland?
I'll leave back there a little bit longer.
We'll congratulate Commissioner Holland in becoming the new chair of beautification and the cemetery committee. That'll learn you. Item 9 is the occupational license update. Ms. Compton?
Just a quick update for our issued occupational license for the month of October. We issued 33 business licenses, which in total was $825 in revenue. We also issued a special event for the finance department for the Center College Homecoming, which resulted in $50 of revenue. We are currently in the process of getting all of our occupational related forms translated to Spanish. I'm hoping that we'll have those within the next couple weeks to be available in person and on our website.
Any questions for Ms. Compton? Seeing none, move to item 10, first reading of ordinance number 2003. This is with respect to the occupational ordinance amendment. Continue, ma'am.
So, as you all are aware, we transitioned which department collected the fees for business license and who issued business license to the finance department recently. Our previous ordinance specified the Office of Director of Codes and Financial Enforcement, which was Ms. Lester's department, but we kind of rehoused that into the finance department, and we just need our ordinance to align with our current processes. So if you, I think on the attachment it has the old ordinance, and it has which specific lines. It changed the title in section 1617 to Finance Department in 2 spaces. But it's just to realign the actual ordinance with who's doing the collecting and issuing of the license.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion for?
I'll move.
Thank you, Commissioner
Approve
Atkins.
first reading of ordinance 2003 as presented.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Roll call.
Oh, we do need a roll call. Thank you.
This is the first reading of ordinance number 2003, an ordinance amending City of Danville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 16, Taxation, Article 2, Occupational Licenses, to change the department where an application for a license is applied for and obtained. Commissioner Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Paris?
Yes.
Commissioner Holland?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Item 11 is the first reading of ordinance number 2004. This is with respect to transient tax. Continue on, Ms. Thompson.
So our city has a transient room tax, which is a tax on hotel rooms. The city itself does not collect this tax. All of this money goes to the Boyle County, the Danville Boyle County Tourist Commission. This is partially how they're, I'm honestly not sure completely how they're funded, but this is a significant portion of how they're funded. But in the last year, the Kentucky State Legislature has updated some KRSs, which allows cities to collect on transient room taxes for online bookings. So previously, there had been a ruling, I think it was by a Court of Appeals, that basically online bookings like hotels.com, things like that, were not required to charge this tax. But the change in the KRS has allowed, the changes have allowed cities to add that in and require those online booking sites to charge the tax. So our ordinance updates this to allow us to collect that, or to, essentially enforce that tax on online booking sites as well.
Do I hear a motion for the ordinance? First reading.
I'll move to approve first reading of ordinance 2004.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Discussion? The way it sounded,
Yeah.
I don't think you meant it, but the way it sounded, that this tax does not come to the city, this additional online tax.
Yes.
It still goes to the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Absolutely. It all goes to the Tourist Commission. We don't see any of it. But they can't collect it unless we update the ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion or questions?
Call for the question.
Madam Clerk?
This is the first reading of ordinance number 2004, an ordinance amending City of Danville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 16, Taxation, Article 4, Transient Tax, to close the collection gap that previously omitted online travel companies. Mayor Paris?
Yes.
Commissioner Holland?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Terry?
Yes.
Item 12 is resolution number 2022-11-14-04. This is a purchase request concerning emergency fuel. Continue, ma'am.
So this is essentially on behalf of several departments that the city has. Quite a few of our departments utilize a lot of diesel fuel. You may or may not have seen reports in the news that there is a low supply of diesel fuel in the U.S. due to several economic factors, one of which is, there's a backlog of a shortage due to COVID-19, and then the war with Russia and in Ukraine, and the ban of imported energy products from Russia has created a lower than normal, a very low amount of diesel in the U.S., especially considering the fall season. And I've attached a memo with your all's agenda packet, just kind of showing the average of diesel over the last few weeks versus a year ago. And it's, from a year ago, it's risen over almost $2. So we are requesting what we are considering emergency purchase of up to 6,800 gallons of fuel that we'll be able to store and utilize as necessary.
Do I hear a motion for the resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Discussion?
I assume we have somewhere to store this?
We do. We have created that using some of our chemical storage equipment that is empty. The quantity, keep in mind, just so you put it in perspective, we are not aware of how much of the $6,800 we'll actually get. There's been some suggestion that they won't deliver that much to us, but we want to go ahead and try, get what we can and fill up what we can. To put it in perspective, the water plant has a 3,500 gallon generator. The lake pump station uses 2,500 gallons. So during an actual power out emergency, that's about 3 to 4 days worth of fuel for us. We will cycle through it if the perceived threat is diminished, and we will use it over the next 3 to 5 months, 6 months, something like that. So we'll just play it by ear, but it gives us a little bit of cushion. And there was some concern. The fire department, for example, uses it. Public Works does. All of our snow equipment, but the generators is a big issue. And so we're just out of the abundance of caution. There's nothing wrong with storing it. We can. So let's make a purchase, and that's what staff brought to us.
Good.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Item 13 is a discussion about water payment. Mr. Carrier is not here.
Mr. Carrier's out of town, I'll take care of it for us. We want to begin to raise awareness for you. We have worked with some folks at Farmers Bank discussing payment options. They have branch offices in Perryville and Junction City. So what we'd like to do, what we're exploring and what they are proposing is a trial where they just accept our payments. Historically, when we accepted payment in those places, city staff had to carry money to here, do a deposit, then carry it up the street to deposit in the bank. So what we have conceived of with their staff, and we appreciate the creativity that their staff has had, because they've offered to do it at no cost to us, is collect the payment, make the deposit directly, and then issue a report to us summarizing what those look like. We are worried about some of the concerns is when it's applied to the account, cutoff day, it's not same day. So if they arrive at a branch location in Perryville the day of cutoff, it won't be processed. So the bank would let them know that, and they would need to drive all the way here. So payments received today will be applied tomorrow, kind of thing. So to the account, applied on our end to the account the next day. So we're working through that, and we will begin communicating out. We wanted to make you all aware of it and wanted to say we appreciate Farmers Bank willing to do that at no cost to the citizen and the customer. And so we'll start with this. I'm calling it a pilot and see where it ends up in the future.
If other banks want to be involved in that, are we prepared for that?
It's more cumbersome because they have our deposits. They hold our deposits. So right now, it's open to them, just strictly for that reason. So this will expand utility payment options to the customer. You will be able to take those to the branch offices both in Perryville, and so those citizens won't have to make it to here if they want to make a payment themselves. And then also, same thing in Junction City, they just have to get to the branch office there and they'll be able to collect their information.
Don't we have funds with other banks?
This is where the accounts are that we process those payments through. So we're going to have to work with Farmers for now, and we'll see where that goes.
You know the question's going to come.
Yes, sir, I know why you're asking, and certainly that's reasonable. That's where a clearing fund is, and so right now, that's what we're going to proceed with that, because we do feel like we have financial control over it.
Any other questions?
This is great customer service. Thank you for realizing that, because, I lived in Junction before, and, it's a trip into town, so thank you.
Item 14 is resolution number 2022-11-14-05. This is with respect to assisting City of Lebanon, Kentucky with sludge disposal.
This is another one that we want to make you aware of. One of our sister utilities, our neighbor, is struggling with some equipment that they have, and with supply chain issues, they're struggling to get it back in service. We generate sludge every day at our water plant and then also our wastewater plant. For them, the way they operated, their water plant delivered sludge to their wastewater plant for processing, whereas we acquired a mobile belt press, and we deal with, we move our press to our water plant lagoon to treat the sludge there for us. And so they don't have that option, and they're asking if until the press at their wastewater plant's repaired, they can pay us to process that sludge, and it's same price for us. And so it's not an unreasonable request. It's not a large quantity relative to what we do. And so it's something you can do to be a good neighbor, and so we're going to continue down that road. We just want to make sure you all were aware of that. If you saw a truck somewhere from Lebanon dumping in our pond, you would know why. Do you have any questions on that?
As long as it's not going to put us over the edge as far as equipment and the pond?
No, it won't impact us in the long term. The short term looks like 30 days, but I wanted them to ask in writing, and I wanted us to acknowledge it in public.
Do you hear a motion for the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Sir, thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion or comment?
say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Item 15 is resolution number 2022-11-14-06. This is the design fee for the Public Works Garage. Continuing, Mr. Coffey.
Thank you. You have in front of you Resolution 2022-11-14-06, which authorizes Brent Sarah Carroll to alter their design slightly and to compensate them for updating the plans to meet revised code requirements and then resubmit to, for a building permit. We originally started working on outfitting the Public Works building probably 10 years ago, I don't know. And we didn't have good luck on the pricing. The market never really liked the project. And so we always felt like it was inflated. So we, as you know, we have gotten started on that now. And the Public Works half is underway. Marshall and Josh got together and reoriented the office spaces and really updated the design based on 10 years' worth of growth in the utility and change of operations at the Public Works building with staffing and the way they operate. And so this updates the plans and continues through towards completion. Staff certainly recommends proceeding.
Do you hear a motion?
I'll move for approval of Resolution 2022-11-14-06.
Thank you, Commissioner Terry. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Holland, thank you, ma'am. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Item 16 is discussion about the Salvation Army toy program. Chief Simpson,
Yes, sir.
welcome.
Mayor, Commissioners, good to see you. I just want to bring forth, we've been doing the Danville toy program for at least 20 years, probably longer than that. What's happened over the last few years, we're making 3,200 runs, just a lot of things going on. It's just really hard to manage that program and to operate it. But we've kind of come with a partnership with Salvation Army where they take the applications, they vet the citizens or whoever want to do the program, and we just provide the monetary money from the Danville Toy Fund. So we'll make sure you guys are okay with it to do that. And we've been in discussion with the city manager and Ms. Lee.
Talk about it a little bit more in detail. The dollar amount and the number of toys and the number of people that sought support really got outside of our capacity to manage that and really do in good faith vet those asking for support. And when you look at the Angel Tree program, this complements it. The structure they have to vet some of the requests is sound and very efficient. So we think it's a good partnership where the fire department continues to collect the money and we will allow them to really administer the distribution of it. During COVID, we got into a situation where we had to do the gift cards and it just is not it felt very cumbersome, but it just didn't feel like the spirit of the program was really where we wanted it to be. The Angel Tree program complements the original intent and spirit, and so we felt like that aligned the mission of the fire department and certainly recommend proceeding in that direction. So what they're going to do is be treated like a community agency, and so rather than taking general fund dollars and contributing to their program, those dollars the reason we want to spend time talking about it is we want the public generally to know what we're doing with that money that's been donated to the Toys program. It is going to Toys. It is only being administered through that Salvation Army. And so they will have the same application and the same agreement as other community agencies, but the money that they will receive will be the allocation through the Toys program.
Any donations that we accept. Sir? Yeah, last year we did 256 citizens, but Earl did a great job telling, he was very well spoken about it, but we had 256 kids come through last year. And just like you said, during COVID-19, the program itself was very cumbersome to run, labor intensive, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work for us.
So are you all going to still accept donations?
We'll
and just
accept
pass it?
donations, but they will be going to Salvation Army. In
So
the
you're
future.
just going to kind of do a pass-through?
Yes, until we can get things worked out. Maybe someday the tour program will come back, but this is a great partnership right now with the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
They are the professionals at it. We're professionals at doing firefighting skills and community aid. They've really helped us out a whole lot here just recently.
So
educating
can I
ourselves.
still give you my check and you'll send it on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure it gets to the right person.
I think that's a good idea. Thank you all
Sounds
for doing
exciting,
that.
yeah.
Okay. You can make it out to the Danville Fire Department toy program. We'll make sure they get it in that fund. So.
Okay.
But they also need help as well. You know, kettle season's coming up. Give to the Salvation Army. They're great community aid for us. Anytime we have house fires, they're right there with us. They're the ones that take care of the citizens of Danville. So they're a good community partner.
Good partnership.
Thank you, sir. Item 17 is the codes enforcement report. Ms. Lester?
Good evening. Sorry, I missed it. You have before you the report for the month of October. We had a total of 25 notice of violations and a total inspections of 93. We issued 52 parking citations. Joni has been working with Architecture Heritage Board, and she is in the process of reviewing a standalone landmark recognition for the Lanier Tolliver House that you all will see in the future that will come back to you for approval through that process. She has also been working with the Thomas Barbie House site inspection. They're applying for tax credits, so she's reviewing a process with that. So they'll be on our Wednesday agenda for review of that. And she's done several property owner consultations for signage, and we approved solar panels for Dr. Boyd's office at our last Architecture Heritage Board meeting. We are also added to your report a list of resident properties that are unfit for human occupancy, just so you can see the difference. And I included the section of our property maintenance code that explained the difference between unfit for human occupancy and the ones that are condemned, so you can see which ones are on which list. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have on that.
Good report.
How do you all verify the owner of the property?
We go by what the PVA has on file.
Okay. 213 Boffman Avenue. You have, I don't know if this is the wrong address or, because I looked it up. 213 actually sold in 21.
Did you look at the PVA?
And is this,
Okay, I will have the officers check that, but
it's CR Homes LLC?
it may be that the address is wrong.
But this says that it caught fire in 19. And this looks like the description of the other property that I believe has already been torn down.
Okay, I will have them check that.
So,
Sure.
yeah, this is, looks like it's been cut and pasted, actually. So I just was wondering if you all go back and verify this list every month, because, there could be transactions happening. And not to jump ahead, but the demolition of Duncan Hill, there are some transactions on record. I'm not sure what they are, but something happened with that property also in 21.
We just recently sent out an NOV for that, so when I get to that, I'll look at that file for you. But you can see the PVA sheet is in there. And it
Well, we just want to make sure that we are contacting the right person. And
The PVA sheet that's in there in the Duncan Hill is from July 7th.
PVA is not always accurate. So, I mean, just going by PVA, I don't think is enough. I think if there's some discrepancy there, you should be going to the clerk's office and pulling deeds and actually, especially since you're gonna tear something down. You just want to make darn sure of who the owner of that property is and what's going on with it.
I will have them double check, but usually that's 99.5%. It's usually accurate. But that's our main area that we look at. We also look for any sales and stuff that happen in the newspaper. We look at the property records just to see what's going on there, so we watch the newspaper as well.
I'll say too, as part of the process, when liens are filed.
Liens are filed.
Then the PVA records are confirmed by staff when they are filed to make sure there were no transactions since the last record on the PVA. So it's the city's, and we have to trust the public records, obviously. And on occasion, there could be mistakes, but by and large, the records are highly accurate, and we do go by them as required by our ordinances. But again, as a double check, prior to a lien filing, city staff does check the records from the last entry listed on the PVA card to make sure there are no deed references under that name. And if there is a deed transaction, then that's a trigger. They call me, and then we investigate it to make sure it's a proper filing. Otherwise, it's filed. So we've been doing that for some time now.
Yes.
Well, this transaction's almost a year old.
Possibly, but it could be a wrong address or something as well. I think staff can look into that.
I mean, it looks
We wouldn't
like-
find it unless we're actually filing a new lien. So in the event that, regardless of ownership, the posting on the house per our ordinance is satisfactory. So the ordinance says that the notice has to go to the record address on the PVA site. That's what our ordinance says, so that's what staff complies with. And so in the event that a new lien is going to be filed post-demolition, then it would be noted and properly filed, but that's only to secure an interest that the city already has. So it goes to the perfection of the city's lien, but not the authority of the city to demolish. That's a crucial nuance.
Anything else? Right on to, and we're going to skip the first reading of ordinance number 2005. Regarding the food truck ordinance. Everybody wants to take a little bit more time to review that.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Item 19 is resolution number 2022-1114-07.
415 Duncan Hill.
You asked at the last meeting for what our process was for the demolition, and so Officer Young has listed out the process from the Property Maintenance Code as to how that usually follows, as to how we notify property owners as to when we're planning on demolishing. This property is at the top of our list in that we feel like it's a danger to the public. It's had a fire inside of it. It cannot be secured. They've broken out windows on the property. And so we feel like it is a property that we need to go ahead and demolish. The current property owner, Ms. Calhoun, was asking for is, sorry, I can't find that sheet of paper, is Rita Phillips out of Harrodsburg. We have to date received no communication back from Ms. Phillips from the notice of violation or from the order to demolish.
Do I hear a motion for the resolution?
I'll move to approve resolution 2022-1114-07.
Thank you, Commissioner Hollins. Is there a second?
I'll second it, but I'm going to put out with a caution that we do a little bit more research. I'm concerned about what Commissioner Terry shared with us. And you said the owner is Rita Phillips. That name, why does that name ring a bell with me?
That's,
Rita Phillips? Is that Marvin Phillips' daughter?
that's Benny, isn't that Benny
Benny
Phillips'
Phillips'
daughter?
daughter.
Yeah.
Is that his daughter?
Well, now, the address that we have on file is Harrodsburg. So,
Yeah. We'll check, yeah.
Well, my point is, I looked up a different address, and in December of '21, it was sold at a master commissioner auction. And it was bought by an LLC. So I just went to the Secretary of State website and looked up the LLC to get the names of the members.
Right.
And probably a mailing address.
For 415 Duncan
So,
Hill?
no, this is a different address.
Oh, we're talking about
But I,
415
you know,
Danville Hill.
but this address is on our report as, I think it's the wrong address, but I think that's another property that was torn down. So, you know, I just don't know that finding and doing a little bit more work to make sure that the addresses are correct and make sure that those people are receiving notices, and before we tear down or do something to a property that could possibly have a different owner, or maybe it's the wrong address or something. I mean, on the city's end, there needs to be reassurance that everything has been done to notify and that the information has been verified and is correct.
One thing in defense, I just want to add to the process this. The city posts for no shorter than 90 days a placard on the residence. In the event that a property owner has no gumption to check their record, their own home or ownership of the property for 90 days to condemn structure, there's a balance of interest between the general public for welfare and protection and property value that is not accounted for in the position that you advocate, Ms. Terry, simply because we have absentee ownership in a vast majority of these cases, some of which are nearly impossible to find. They're owned by mortgage companies that are Bank of New York Mellon Trust out of Delaware and a host of others that care nothing about the state of property here. So in the case that there is perhaps an individual that we know, staff tends to know if there's a nursing home issue, a health issue, a medical issue. In the vast majority of these cases, perhaps not the one in front of you, notice by placard is all that's required. And if you want to do more, that's something else. There's an ordinance process that can be amended. It's also important to note that the process before you is purely administrative. So your recourse is to change the ordinance, but not to deny demolition, simply because that is in the sole purview of the administrative part of staff. And so it's brought to you as a notice, but it's not brought to you for approval. The funds have been allocated. They can be expended by the city manager without your approval. This is simply a notice provision that we incorporated when we revised the code enforcement process, I don't know, a handful of years ago. So demolitions are not subject to commission review or approval. This is just a point of information. It's brought to you as a point of notice. And so while your concerns can be noted in the record, if staff has the inclination to demolish based upon violations of the property maintenance code, then they are empowered to act and in fact are shirking their fiduciary responsibilities if they don't. So that is a nuance, but we struggled a little bit with even the placement of the agenda item on here. I'm inclined, you know, this is not an approval. This is simply a notice to you. So the fact that it's being brought today somewhat, it's just for notice. And we can perhaps look at that in the future, but we'll probably list that differently on future agendas, just so you know.
I thought it might be helpful because they were asking about the demolition process.
Sure.
That it might be helpful to see how we were looking at a property and how we went through that.
Yeah, and so a demolition is different than a condemned list. And so certainly, we need to verify our condemned list. And I know Ms. Lester's got the same spirit of cooperation everybody else does, and we want to do a good job. And so, you know, we'll meet with the chief and Bridget to make sure our process is correct. We do have to rely on PVA and rely on the court records at the courthouse. We can't establish our own records outside of that. So when she's doing her due diligence at the courthouse, that's about all a reasonable person would do. But now, there is a difference in the once we get to a situation where something needs to be raised, usually that goes above and beyond that. And you know, the placard at that point is about the best you can do usually. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the conditions that you see in the photographs.
Can the chair get a motion for the resolution, please?
Go ahead.
Have it?
In a second, yeah.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Chair will call for question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay. I think our system is flawed.
I'll say aye. Item 20 is resolution number 2022-11-14-08. This is a surplus for our old tasers. Chief Gray. How did you choose Green County? How did you choose Green County?
Greene County, actually, one of our supervisors has a brother that's the chief deputy in Greene County, and he knew that we had went to the new taser system. The commission approved that contract back a few months ago. The current tasers that we have, we could not trade those in. Tasers going to a new format. But the tasers that we do have are still in working condition. We've had I think you have a letter in your packet from them asking if we could donate. They're a 6-man department. We would be glad to donate those to them for $1 a taser, and the cartridges would be included, and some training cartridges as well. There's also, we've been in talks with the local Boyle County Sheriff's Office. They have not yet switched to the new tasers, so they would like to also purchase some of the tasers we have that are in surplus, and we'll be working out a price and some contract and some things with them as well.
Do you hear a motion for the resolution?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2022-11-14-08.
Mr. Terry, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Atkins, any further discussion, comment? None, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm an aye. I was thinking about the next question, but I won't ask it in public the other way.
The next question is, do we have need for executive?
Yes, sir.
He fell right into it, didn't he?
Okay, we'll hear him. On what ground?
Litigation and personnel.
I think Commissioner Atkins should make the motion.
I do too.
I do 3. Go ahead, sir.
My motion would not be for an executive session, it would be
But you're
for
wasting time, so you may as well go ahead and make the motion.
a motion of privilege is a motion to adjourn, so y'all better be careful now.
Well, I guess after the first of the year, you need to change that. What was the executive session for?
Personnel and litigation.
I will move for a motion to go into executive session for personnel pursuant to KRS 618101F. Did you say litigation? Pending? Potential?
Potential.
Does it matter? Potential? Potential litigation pursuant to KRS 618101C, for which, I don't have to read that part, do I? Do I?
We have a
Okay.
motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We are in executive session. Everybody have a good night.
No, they're not leaving.
for a second. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We're in regular session. Mr. Coffey.
Thank you, Mayor Commissioners. We've got 3 items. Staff is requesting that you accept Charlie Lawson's request from being reassigned from the Assistant Superintendent at the water plant to a Class 4 operator at the water plant.
Do you hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Continue, sir.
Staff is recommending the hiring of Jessica Cheatham to the position of purchasing agent.
Do you hear a
So
motion?
moved.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Discussion? Call the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Continue, sir.
Oh, aye.
Staff is recommending the hiring of Zachary Ray to the position of police officer.
Do you hear a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Is there anything else to come before this body?
Not at this time.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.